Hello Year 3 class. Today's lesson is about how to create a column graph. Now let's look at our first example. The title of this graph is Our Favourite Fruit Year 3. Every column graph that you make needs a title so the reader can see what the graph is all about. Now the next thing we can look at is the horizontal axis, which is also can be known as the x-axis. In this graph, it's called the name of fruit, where they've individually placed all of the different fruits that they've come up with: apple, pear, bananas, mango, peach, grape and cherries. On the vertical axis, they've titled it number of students. So we can see when we're analysing this graph that there were 5 students whose favourite fruits were apples. And then there were 2 students whose favourite fruit were pears. On the right hand side you can see a table which they've made to record the results, which is an easy way which you could either tally or tick when you're surveying people to see their favourite fruits, which fruit is their favourite. Now let's have a look at a second example of a column graph. And you can see the title of this graph is called Our Favourite Sports. The horizontal axis title is Sports, and there are only 3 sports: soccer, softball and basketball, and other. The vertical axis title is Number of Students. So these are obviously the number of students. And we can see that there were 9 students whose favourite sport was soccer, and 4 students whose favourite sport was softball. These are just 2 examples of how to create a column graph. So when you begin your own column graph, you can take note of these 2 examples, which we can give a try over here, which I've got my piece of paper. And I've already drawn 2 lines, so the horizontal and the vertical axis. And I've taken, for example, my body measurements. So our column graph is going to be about my body measurements. And I've taken the length of my hand, which was 20 centimetres, the length of my foot, which was 26 centimetres, the length of my finger, which was 10 centimetres, and the length of my arm from my finger to my elbow, which was 47 centimetres. So when you make your own graph, you first need a title. So my title can be My Body Measurements. So I'll write that. My body measurements. And then we first go down to the horizontal axis, and we can use maybe my body parts to title this axis. And our columns are going to be, I'm going to have 4 columns obviously for the length of my hand, the length of my foot, the length of my finger, and the length of my arm from my finger to my elbow. So I'll just write the first one, the length of my hand. And on our vertical axis, we can go up in centimetres. So I'll write centimetres. And then you can measure starting at 0. You can even go up in 5s, which could be easier. When you are doing your column graph though, it might be easier if you use your ruler, which will be a lot more accurate. To start with the 5 at the 1 centimetre mark, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, which would be nice and neat as well. So the length of my hand was 20 centimetres. So I draw my column. centimetres. Again, I would use my ruler to make sure all of my lines are nice and straight. So this is an example of my body measurements. The length of my hand is 20 centimetres. And then you continue on for the length of your foot, the length of your finger, and the length of my arm from my finger to my elbow, creating columns up to the according centimetres. I hope this has helped you in creating your own column graph. Thank you.